Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Reminder, this is not financial advice, not quite entertainment, but definitely for educational purposes. All right, let's just jump right into it. You should have your journal sheet out and ready to go. I do have a free PDF version that you can follow along with. And so we're going to go ahead and start with, excuse me, today's date. Usually when I write the date, I'm starting to prime myself. Go ahead and park anything that you have outside of work. Outside of these 2 hours. So work will be there, I promise you. Family, relationships, everything else. We're going to focus on this. Wednesdays tend to be consolidation. Today's August 5th. It's my brother's birthday, so let's make it a good day. Um, just going to eyeball over here. We didn't have very much going on here. A lot of you know I like to check over here just to see if you had any major movements. SPY continues to skyrocket off of that 1 week um, indicator that fired. And so yesterday we crossed over the 50% threshold. So Monday we kind of came right here. And then Tuesday we were just on the verge of touching almost 80%, right? So something to keep in mind for the next time that the weekly fires. I'm gonna go ahead and actually let's start off with news, right? Because I like to mark my levels here, but usually at 7:30, I like to just check in to make sure, am I over trading or anything like that? Um, that I'm practicing my risk management, and also 1 hour into the market, sometimes things can change. Now, let's take a look at the economic calendar. I'm not going to take you guys over there, but I do like to use tradingeconomics.com/calendar. That's the one I've been going to, um, honestly, for at least a year. And so, 4 o'clock, we did have some pre market data. The MBA 30-year mortgage rate was previously at 6.76%, and we went up to 6.81%. We had data at 5:15. We did have a drop. ADP employment changed from 90,000, or well, previously was 95,000. Forecast for 90,000 and came in at 44,000. Okay. Let's see. 6:45, we have the final numbers. I believe yesterday or Monday we had the report, or the data drop, but this is the report part of it. So that's going to happen at 6:45, but it's not the most major news, but it will be something important. I'm going to write that down. I wrote down yesterday the news stuff, but I usually look at the bolder items. So 6:45, I'm going to go ahead and mark that off on mine because I want to remember that. We do have final PMI. So things can, it's going to be willing for us to wait, worth it for us to wait. 7 o'clock, we do have ISM Services PMI. Right now, it is forecast at 54.5. So it's just one of those things. Wednesdays, as I'm heading back to the chart where you guys are, Wednesdays we tend to have consolidation, like I said. It's good that we have some data. 45, and then go to the 15 minute. 15 minute. 45. And so 45. And I will delete it once we get to that. But I just want to have a placeholder, especially when I have a lot of stuff going on. So this is, and we also have, I believe, at 7 PMI. So let's just mark that off. And I just leave that on this one. So I usually guys kind of like to go from right to left. Um, let's just kind of eyeball this because I want to make sure for myself with my own eyes um, what we're dealing with here. Okay, so in terms of the weekly, it expired on Friday at 1. We just continued to soar. Today's Wednesday, so this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday move. I did anticipate a pullback. I was gonna say on um, at the 50% level. Now that being said, I think I want to go ahead and well, you can see that I did mark this as a buy level, but I'm gonna give it the rest of this week, and then this will change to the buy above, sell below levels. Beautiful move here. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so based on this block, we're either buying above or selling below, which will line up. We fall below here, we'll continue to have more downside. Let's see the 4 hour. We continue to build to the upside. Um, we had pre-markets. No, this was post-market, but we had post-market beautiful confirmation if you're holding what would be swings the next time we move around, and then continuing to build off a previous day high. But with that being said, they're about to hit 300%. I always like to pay attention to those levels. Um, okay, we're doing kind of okay on time. So I'm just going to put this 300%, 300% of this is the 1 hour call. Okay, so let's just see how price reacts at that level. You can see that there's just a little bit of profit taking there. On the 30-minute, we're building a beautiful base around the previous day high. Let's see, and then you guys know I love to be on the 15-minute. Love to see this. This is what we'll continue to work off of. Pre-market, it already looks like it hit 80%, but I'm thinking just the pattern tends to be so 80% probability that when market opens, we're going to try to at least touch 100%. But let's just see. Another interesting thing is I'm moving over to QQQ, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on QQQ, but when I was looking at the contracts on Friday, going forward into the week, on Wednesday is where we had a lot of volume. So I kind of look at it like OPEX in terms of this is where people would have bought out when that weekly alert fires. They probably are like, okay, I'm gonna hold until Wednesday, and so I feel like we're gonna see some like recalibration around that price point today, Wednesday. But we also had a high volume tomorrow and Friday as well. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on QQQ just because I'm trying to grow my small account, and I feel like just because of the contract prices, you have to be extra certain. Now, this is interesting. I will pay attention to this, even though I have this as a sell below level. Um, I'm still kind of like in buying territory here. Let's see here. Looking at the weekly. Another thing I do want to have on record is that when SPY rises, it's like a boat riding foul tide. So all three ETFs went to the upside. SpaceX also had great earnings yesterday, you guys. Let's see here. What I'm looking at here is I like to see if we have like a previous alert to the upside. Like how we've already hit 100%. Like I feel like we've satisfied things for the most part. We've already engaged with 200%, had some taking profit there a couple of times, and so we have a little bit of resistance here at previous month high on QQQ. So we might, you know, might get a little bit of chop here. Um, and then decide if we want a little bit more upside before we engage with the 52-week high. And then I anticipate, especially on a 1 day, that every time since I've had this indicator, I've noticed that we'll drop like a good 10%. I mean, $6 on average on the daily 300%. So each of these levels play a role. at every single time frame. It's just that obviously the higher the time frame, the more significant the move. And then retouch of that 300% was like $2 drop, right? So I'm just eyeballing here on the 4 hour. You can see why I put this as a buy above, sell below. Um, we probably could, I think, and this was based off of the 1 day. Um, and again, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Things are definitely shifting around. We do have a gap here. Let's see. I'm not gonna try to force anything. I think I've noticed like if I feel like I have to try to force stuff, then I just don't want to touch it. I like what I'm seeing here. This is would have been post market. I prefer to see it pre market for the most part. We do have a little bit of that resistance here for previous day high where we're kind of just having bears step in here. Um, what I can do is, I think, yeah, 30, okay. Um, if we have kind of like a retest, I would say we can look for calls here. Mm, so what's happening is here, I put it at the bottom of the stop loss. So what I anticipate is we might continue to reject this previous day high, might have bears step in at market open, and uh, let's just see the stop losses for this entry are going to be tested. And then we'll decide if, and we do have a VWAP gap here. We might want to fill this gap. And then what's important is once we tip the scale and start to fall below the stop loss and invalidate the calls temporarily, right? They're going to be looking for a buy-in level. Previously high bears usually like to go all the way down to previously low. We do have a VWAP gap here. And so this usually likes to get filled as well too. And once we cross over this 300%, which is like a take profit, it's like you can see we started to lose some momentum once we crossed that threshold here. Um, we can have a little bit more downside, and that might carry us to keep it stay low. So just be prepared for that. I love here that we had the 1 hour call to the upside and then the 30-minute pre-market, also indicating that we have a base here right below previous day high. So I think if you wanted to watch on your time frame, it's set on your chart 724. If we fall below this, we'll start to invalidate and then look to fill this gap here. And then we'll just revisit these levels later. But Wednesday, I mean, is a great time to do it. You can also see it here, just starting to flatten out. We're again getting that beautiful confirmation here, pre-market, that they want upside. They are building a base right below previous day high, so they might trap the bears. But let's just see if it gets invalidated. Um, Again, that VWAP gap, so we might come down here. We also have another gap down here below that we haven't dealt with, okay? So today would be a great day to retrace, but I would even anticipate some chop, like, okay, we're bullish, but we want, but we have to deal with the gap down there. And so just introducing that chop. So just be patient, especially on Wednesdays. It's going to pay off. We're not going to jump into anything major. Let's see here. So like I said, I like to just eyeball this because that's what I do. So at this point, you've already kind of seen what I'm looking for. Here you can see that even though the indicator didn't fire for the 1 week to the upside, we picked up orders here. And when SPY rose, IWM rose as well. With the daily, here you can see we're retesting those levels, right? So it had fired. We hit we hit what, the 50% here, and then took a little bit nosedive, tested these stop loss levels, and then looks like we're starting to resist. This is kind of like previous day high, previous month high, previous week high. right around here, but we're starting to have a little bit of a sell-off. Pre-market, it looks like we're gonna be opening above VWAP, so that's always good in terms of bullish indication. On the 4 hour, kind of seeing the same thing too. I feel like we've had a 2 day bull run, so we're due for a pullback. Um, Here we did. This is where, you know, we did open below VWAP. How are we doing on time? All right, because I want to take a little break. Um, so same thing as QQQ, and that we're at these critical levels. You can see that these levels right here. This is going to introduce some top right here. These are some major levels right in between 52-week highs. We're going to try to decide if we're going to break above that or kind of have a retest that's very normal and healthy. And look from if we fall, we can, especially like how we opened on the 4 hour below this VWAP here, and we already had some rejection. Kind of like I think it's just like the Morning Star type of feel, or an abandoned baby out of one of them. But if we have a drop, we might have a little bit of a bounce here, especially on the 4 hour and the four. I know a lot of people use the 40 minute, but I do. But the next touch would be the 8 hour, the 8 EMA major level, kind of just lining up here with previous day low, and then from here we'll decide if we want to bounce off of this, buy this level up and continue the upside, or if we fail, then we can look for more downside. Bears will step in and we'll be low. We will be below the 8 EMA there. On the 1 hour, beautiful confirmation that we want more upside. Now this happened post market. It happens. Actually, we had a double. So we conditions were met where not only did we have set up for calls to the upside at 12, but again um, at 1. So IWM might have a little bit more strength than the other two. With the, what's going to be important here, and I'm going to keep it on my big monitor, but I would say we have that VWAP gap here that we usually like to fill it. I'm not going to hold you. And then here, I would say we can look for calls above here. And what I mean by that is that uh, we're not going to buy calls right off of here. We're gonna anticipate a little bit of a testing of the VWAP. This is a retest level for some people, and then they can possibly buy in here. But when we come back up and wick up off of this, then that's when we can anticipate buyers stepping back in. They're just retesting these levels, kind of like what you already saw here. They're very bullish, but we do have some resistance here. Bears are definitely going to be lurking here at market open. Um, Now for the 30 minute, yeah, once we cross over that 100% threshold, they have bulls have been kind of satisfied, and then right now they're just trying to decide, and this is very important when you talk about chop for Wednesday. You see that right there, those major levels, and then the 15 minute. All right, I'm gonna take the tiniest little break, but I like what I'm seeing here on the 15 minute. We're building a nice strong base to the upside, and you have a better idea of what the retest levels are. So the biggest thing we're going to be looking for is if this zone is invalidated. We had some gaps that formed here, but for the most part, we're bullish. We're continuing to hold above the VWAP here. Beautiful buys off of the 8 and the VWAP. So let's see. And it already did satisfy 100% pre-market, but hey, um, the biggest critical part about this is, um, oops, there you see, we got bears there stepping in, but major level on several levels right there. So I'm just gonna take a tiny little break. I'll be right back before the market opens. Okay, see you in like right, get ready, get ready. I think I would take that long. Okay, so let's just open up our stuff. I'm gonna try to wait for 5 minutes. Um, and I'd like to do a disclaimer. I mean, if I hear a major time frame fire, then I'll entertain something. But so here we have an example. Market opens. Um, you can see the bears stepped right in here off of these major levels. Next big thing is that, oops, yep, we're satisfying this tiny little gap here. We have definitely profit taking. Woo! Why would my make sure you guys can hear me. Apologize for that inconvenience. Are you not embarrassed? Okay, so let's just jump into it. We started to see that we rejected this major level. Told you we would have bears here. QQQ is trying to satisfy these pre-market levels. Um, Usually a little bit of a take profit at 50%. Let's just see what happens in terms of a retest for previous day high. There is definitely divergence in terms of IWM absolutely doing its own thing. Now, this is interesting, right? Because we did have the 1 hour fire. And remember, I think that they're going to try to test, and it's really dramatic, right? It's really dramatic when you have that, but based off of the 1 hour, it looks like it's going to try to retest these stop losses. It's allowing people that may be bullish to join in on this rally, but we definitely had bears step in here. And then once we start to have candle closes below previous day high, you're going to have more bears want to jump in here. I anticipate a little bit more pullback, and then if we continue to break, give yourself a star if you waited for 5 minutes without doing anything. Um, that definitely counts for something. But here, yeah, you can see buyers are starting to step right back in here. It's just, can they defend it? Um, we did open above previous day high, but it's just introducing chop, right? Um, SPY continues to run to the upside here. Um, wow, even from pre-market levels, it handled its business and has already gone up 200%. We would have opened like right around here. And so beautiful move by SPY, continue to go strong into the third day. Um, so QQQ is also running to the upside. And it's not that IWM is not bullish. It's just another thing too is we have this gap. We have this VWAP gap. Not that QQQ and SPY don't either. But I wouldn't look for puts on IWM, and this is just me, unless we invalidate this zone. And even then, you might get a little bit like caught up, snatched up, unless they decide to, fill this gap right here. And then we're starting to see uh, confluence where all three are running to the downside at the same time. Let me show you how this is on the 1 hour. So that 300%, you know, we kind of try to push through, but if we're going to have pullback today, it's going to be the day. It's being Wednesday, but we also hit 300%. There's always taking profit at 300%. So, and we did open below the VWAP here. So, just going to be patient. We do have data at 6:45. Let's see here. And so, also, if you're kind of like an order, I really want to keep it on this because I wanted to have a perspective of what's happening on a larger time frame with IWM. So unless I get something telling me, you know, otherwise, uh, I love how we're defending this area here, but if you can see a little bit of a fight with buyers, they're holding this stop loss level. Um, and then at this point, people are going to try to decide if they're going to diamond hand it. But next stop loss that will most likely be tested is going to be down here on IWM. If I can do a no trade day today, that would actually be good for me because I feel like I overtrade and I want to, And so with Wednesdays, I'm just really gonna wait for an A plus prime setup. Um, I think the best thing that can happen, let's just look over here, is that okay? I like this. This looks good. I was gonna say, if we wanna if we wanna be bullish, let's see what this is really good. We're buying, continuing to buy off of the VWAP here, out of this bullish base. I'm a little concerned about this VWAP gap, especially on this 5 minute time frame. But I'd say if we get something fired to the upside, it would definitely be confluence in support for the upside. I'm just not really not touching it today for a while. I love how we continue to defend here. We just kind of lost through it. There we go. If we break below here on previous day high and invalidate this, then we're going to have more downside. Same thing, we have a VWAP gap here. Let's So we can just wait on the 5 minute here and see if we invalidate this zone. Still holding, holding, holding. IWM, but I feel like based off of what I've seen, we're gonna try to fill this gap. It's gonna shake out some people and then start to snowball to where we start to open below the 8. Yeah, buyers, yeah, love that. Good job, bulls. Bought that right back up. Bears stepping back in, so they're fighting. We have data in 5 minutes. And so that's going to be important because if we start to have smaller candle closes below the previous day high, we're going to face more downside because there's always bears right below the previous day high, and they're going to try to take us down to previous day low. Is their MO? We also have this VWAP gap that we have to fill, pick up any orders that were in here. Um, yeah, but see how I put here? Look for calls. Um, you have buyers here. There's a stop loss. We got confirmation here on SPY that we want more upside. We're staying beautifully above the 4. I'm not taking anything. I just want to wait until my indicator fires. And I think also the other thing is we do have data in 5 minutes. So I want to just be liquid until that gets taken care of. I don't want to jump into something and then um, get a surprise. So I'm just being patient. Sometimes if I have a strong direction, I will jump in. Um, but at that point, I'm out before the data drops. Or if it's a really strong indication we have more downside, then I'll kind of just hold on for a little bit more of a second base or third base hit. But yeah, so it's okay. We can wait. You'll give yourself another star if you can wait for 15 minutes. Now, let's see, 5 minutes. This is looking really good. We're rejecting something up here. At this point, we're um, at some highs. So we don't have a reference of what we want to reject off of. But we have just, you know, I can tell you just eyeballing this on the 5 minutes, these wicks, not good, but we're still continuing to hold above the 4 in here. And beautiful buys off of VWAP. So SPY wants more upside. Let's look at the 15 minute just to kind of see. Okay, here we go. I always like to have an idea of what we're, okay, this is 15 minute is going to continue to be good here. Um, I'm paying attention to this 300% level. If we fall below here, there will be, profit taking, but you don't want to look for puts in here. So let's move our direction away from that. IWM continues to defend this area. Um, I'm gonna look at the 5 minute and just this is not looking good. Yeah, we have bears here, and we've already started to have candle closes below previous day high and below VWAP in the 8. Yikes. So, but just be careful in terms of top because um, I believe these 200 moving averages, not only are they strong um, levels, they're lined up side by side. One is a slow 200 and one is exponential 200. Um, so you can get chopped and screwed right in here. But if we break below here, so like we can make some more downside. But I love how they've been defending this here. I feel like it's inevitable though. Snowball effect on the lower time frame. We're looking for more downside on IWM. Yeah. I think we talked about this, but on the 15 minute, we already satisfied 100%. So even though we would have liked to see if we're invalidating the calls from pre-market, they already got what they needed to out of the move. But let's just put you back again on the 1 hour because I feel like I want to start perspective what's happening here. We're continuing to defend this as a buy-in level. Data drops in 30 seconds. And that's the final numbers from, I believe, Monday or Tuesday PMI. I can look at my journal real quick, but I think we had PMI. Oh yeah, it would have been Monday because yesterday was built. So for Mondays, and then at 7 we have another PMI. Monday we had manufacturing and global. Ooh, beautiful. Okay, let me tell you guys what happened for the data. Okay, it just posted as I clicked on it. We came in slightly higher, right? So for the month of July, it was forecast at 53.6. It came in at 54.5. And then, oh, for global composite PMI. And then for global services, it was forecast at 53.6 also and came in at 54.6. So those are good numbers. We have more data at 7. So just be patient here. This is going to probably end up being a buy-in level now that we have this good data. Let's see how price decides to react to it. Looks like SPY is selling the news. Um, definitely taking profit. I love my levels, but they're taking profit at that 200% level. Let's see here. I'm just continuing to be patient. Let's see here. IWM out of all of these three, I think is set up the best for calls. It's based off of the 1 hour, even though I like to see it pre-market. Um, I like how it's respecting this level here. Look at how buyers are stepping back in off of this level. But I think that QQQ, I'm just really not going to be tempted to touch it because I'm kind of, the contracts are kind of high. But it is building a beautiful base here off of previous day high, retesting this level here, but continuing to stay above the 4. So that is really good. But SPY, I feel like is finally starting to have that much needed pullback that we needed. I talked about how on Wednesday I noticed the contracts were for today or for Wednesday, and so I expect some profit taking. That's where the open interest was. And then they can probably just look for buy-in levels before they continue to look for more upside going into Friday. Love how buyers are just stepping back in here, definitely defending this stop loss level. In a little bit of a tricky zone because it opened above VWAP and QT to stay high here, which ideally would have been good, but you have these major levels here like previous week high, previous month high. Looks like maybe even a 52-week high that you have there stepping in at. Gonna be patient. Look at how buyers stepped in here off of the 8, but I don't know that they're going to be able to defend it. We'll see. Good job. Yeah, they're buying up off of that beautiful buy off of the 8. 8 is more of a calming EMA. I like to use the 4. I would have gotten stopped out already with the 4, but it does engage with the 4 as well. So yeah, beautiful buys off of the 8. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, just continue to be patient. I don't want to have some candle closes above the previous day high. Yeah, right before market open, they SPY hit 100% of the 15-minute. Um, so this is all pre-market, but I think it came, it came down just a little bit and then got another 100% move in the first 5 minutes on SPY. Anyway, I'm also giving myself points for waiting for, I call it E, like an entry trade versus a non-entry trade. This looks really good on a big screen here. You can definitely see. Okay, I'm gonna delete this also because I want you to see the wick. But on the big screen, it looks really good in terms of how we're buying that level right up. Our levels ain't like for nothing. Look at that, especially those up. And that's what I like about the ETFs. They respect the levels more consistently than not, right? Ooh, I'm getting all the birthday alerts. So I already sent the birthday stuff to my brother, one of my brothers, and then I have a cousin. Her reminder came up today too. Happy birthday to my cousin. I just called the family and get off the phone when I get off here. Okay, so there is that much needed pullback that we needed. I wouldn't be surprised if we invalidate this. I did talk about where did that VWAP gap go? Is it further down here? Right. Let me tell you. Oh yeah. Oh, that's wild. All right. We have that profit taking that I was anticipating. Um, as long as you see above previous day high, don't get into no, don't get into no puts. Don't do it. Don't you do it. Now, if we get below here, if we get below here on previous day high, and have some confluence with QQQ, or we're opening below previous day high, we might go for that gap fill. It's gonna be choppy because you're gonna be fighting bears in here. See how buyers are stepping in here? There's orders for calls to the upside here. Um, and so let's just be patient. You might not have anything play out until later. I absolutely love how IWM is buying up this call area, but it has to have candle closes above here and above here, above previous day high. Otherwise, you just have bears waiting for you here. I'm gonna give myself another star. I didn't write it down for waiting the 15 minutes, and then I will also give myself stars for entering on E. Um, but I do take non-E's and they are profitable, but it's just I really want to stick to my strategy. So see how we're doing on time. We are 8 minutes out from the second drop of data. I love how we're clearing off of the 8 here. Ooh, a little bit of bear stepped right back in here off the previous day high. It could be a retest for them wanting more downside. Yep. So for them, this is like, ooh, confirmation. We got to retest the previous day high and stuff. But I feel like the level to watch here is if they can break back down below this VWAP. All of this is you don't want to be caught up in this. You really don't want to be looking for anything until you get out of this. I'm starting to look at this more as of a shady area. Um, usually, like if let's just say some of these levels right here, I would start looking for puts. But the thing is, you're gonna get chopped and screwed in here. So I prefer to wait for the breakout or confirmation down here. But this is just kind of like a percolator zone for me. So we just gotta be patient. You know, this I've been talking about this for like 2 months. 2 months ago, I wanted you guys to see this. Long story short, you don't want to. Let's just stay away from IWM. When you have these overlapping zones, if you think you're going to get chopped and screwed with this and the red, when these two zones overlap, you're so going to get chopped and screwed. Which, again, this happens on Wednesdays. Like that's a pattern I've noticed. So just kind of stay away from it unless we break above here. Let me move to something else so that we're not trying to force a trade or anything. Oh, can you guys see that? I don't think, can you guys see that? Okay, I was about to say, I don't need to be having my to put the information up there. Oh, I just realized. Okay, all right, so then here, Peter stay high. Beautiful, we're trying to buy up off of this here. Let's see. Yeah. So the next level of just watch here is um, when we retest previous day high on both QQQ and SPY, we're going to decide if we want more upside and pick up some orders. Same thing you see here on IWM where they're defending calls to the upside and picked up orders at that stop loss. People who diamond held from yesterday, okay, we're 5 minutes out from the top of the hour. And usually the reason I put that is because I like to see how, ooh, beautiful buys here on SPY. Beautiful. Let's see if we can continue to hold above the VWAP here. It closed this tiny little VWAP gap, but we have more below. But looks like we're not going to deal with that today. Here we had QQQ decide to have buyers step in off of the 8 and VWAP here. Didn't quite give you previous day high. But like I said, the reason I like to have it on the 1 hour is because you want to see where price opens, and we usually like to touch VWAP before we continue in a direction. And so let me show you what it's looking like here. We are bullish on QQQ, but so here's VWAP. Oh, this is going to be good. So if we can open above previous day high and above VWAP on QQQ, we can anticipate more upside. This is kind of like you don't really want to be stuck in here, but you can kind of look at it as a zoo of bulls where there's a bunch of orders to the upside here, building a beautiful base off of previous day high. Love how IWM is recovering here. And then let's just look at the 1 hour. Now, SPY, the problem with SPY is that it's at this 300% level here. But I think they've already gotten their take profit out of their system, decided to buy back up off of the floor. Okay, so beautiful, beautiful. You see a little bit of bear stepping in here, but if we can build a base, let me show you how they're invalidating the the bear. Well, not right. The zone is still valid. Let's see when they invalidate the bears here. Yeah, but if they open above here, because they had opened above here when the market opened and then failed, and but if they can reassert themselves, ooh, pushing to come on, let's go. We can open above here. Ooh, let's go. God, all right, let's go. That's what's up. Let's go. All right, so beautiful. Okay, let's go. We got this crab crossover. I used to trade off of those, but I wanted to just. And then here, this is going to be a take profit level, so you might get a little bit of a pullback here off of the 4 hour. Now, there was this is from a way back. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see it. Beautiful buy here on the 4 hour off of the 4. You can see the wick there. Yes, let's go. I'm gonna prepare for some type of an entry. I'll let you know how the data comes out for PMI as well. Ooh, what is that? Ooh. Um, I'll let you know how the data comes out. Looks like we're gonna try to build some support off of this 300% level on I5. Still going strong. See a nice base here on QQQ. Ooh, this was a beautiful play on IWM. Right up off of that stop loss, the very first one. Sometimes they'll give you a little bit of pressure and test the second one here. But all right, let's get ready for some type of an entry. 35 seconds. All right. I'm gonna just put the 15 here. I feel like you might get some confirmation for calls. Let's see how we go. 7 seconds. All right. Do we have anything fire? No. Oh, we did. 30-minute on IWM for calls. All right, let's just try IWM some calls. It's gonna take a while to play out. Um, let's see, 30 minutes. So I'm gonna try some calls. 30-minute entry, and I paid 128 for the contract. So it's gonna take time to play out. We're testing the stop losses here on IWM. You could wait maybe for confirmation on a lower time frame, like a 5 minute or a 15 minute. I like how we're buying up off of the VWAP here. Um, I'll start to get nervous if we break below this previous day high. If we fail this previous day high, but we have a base here. Ideally, like I said, I don't like living under your spotlight. Anyways, um, I don't like being in this shady area. Not on a Wednesday, even though it is bullish. So I'm just gonna like keep a tight stop loss on this. I'll just keep it 100 with you. If we drop to like, yeah, which we're already in that zone where I feel like I gotta just, yeah, I think I'm gonna, it takes a little bit of time to pay out. Yeah, I think I'd rather just, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out with a small loss. Um, I'm gonna wait until we can establish what we want here. The 30-minute and the 15-minute take a little bit of time to play out. Um, yep. Let me look at the economic calendar while you guys are looking at this. Ooh, we did come in slightly lower, you guys. It was forecast at 54.15, and we came in at 54.1. So, but service business activity was high. It was forecast at 56, came in at 59.1. Employment services employment dropped from 52 to 47, and new orders increased from 55 to 57. And I kind of know this. I mean, I do put caution on the 15-minute. I think what we can do is we can look at the 15-minute on IWM. Didn't we have? Oh, no, no, it was the 1 hour. It was the 1 hour. So we are continuing to stay bullish, but let's just look for entry levels off of the 1 hour. I will re-enter calls when we start to, there we go. When we establish that we're bouncing off of this level or even above VWAP. So I want to see that a lot of buyers step in here. But I don't want to hold down, draw down. We're still bullish. It's just they're looking for take profit levels. We're trying to decide here at the 300% level if we want to turn it into a base. SPY is holding its ground here. It's recovering really nicely. We did open above VWAP and it engaged with the VWAP the way that we need to, and buyers stepping back in. So this we can actually, I feel like, look for more upside here. Let's see what it decides to do. This is all a bullish area too. Okay, so we're entering a danger zone on QQQ. If we break below here, start to have an imbalance, we're going to have more tips to the downside. And if I think even like these are starting to enter critical levels, right? So you start to have candle closes below previous day high. We're gonna go for that VWAP gap. SPY's a little bit further out. Um, I'm just watching this. See if it's able to recover. These I look at these as trampolines, so the 8 is kind of like a little bit of a bounce. Okay, we're starting to establish that we want, so in the next 45 seconds, can we stay above that previous day high? Yep, bought it right up. Let's see if we can break above VWAP. We're buying that up. I'm not going to try to jump in anything until we get in right here. So yeah, I got out early, but I want to wait for a candle close because I don't, I've gotten snapped before. So I want to wait for some, and we're buying up off this 200 here. I want to wait. I want to wait until we have a candle close up right here. If I had held, that would have been up like a teeny tiny percent. But yeah, let's just start to see that candle close again above previous day high here on the lower time frame. Beautiful. And then I just really want to see it break above here before I try to get into anything. All right, let's go back to the 30-minute. Yeah, and you can even see it here. Like, if you want to be on the safe side, if you want to wait until we kind of break above here, and I have to learn how to spot that too. Um, if we break above here, that's better for me. But like how we opened in this green, I don't. Like I said, I'm not the biggest. You don't. You're gonna get chopped and screwed. Yes, there's big calls up here, but how deep do we want to go? I like how we're buying up here off of QQQ. I like that we opened above VWAP. We're picking up orders here and looking right back up, but it needs to stay above VWAP in the 8 here. What's happening with SPY? 30 minute. I want to see a little bit more. There we go. There we go. I wanted to see. I'm gonna get into some calls, you guys. Let's see if it picks up my order. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that tried to jump in on that impulse move. I'm not gonna chase the order. Okay, so it just got filled. I know I'm not the only one that tried to jump in, and now it's picking up some even lower. I'm gonna put this as a non-E entry from this, and I got in a fraction of the price. I got it on sale, and then let's see. I always like to put, and I'm gonna write down what my I want to get out. Like if you get close to, I don't know here, but the goal is for us to break to the upside. We can hold with a little bit of confidence. Trying to hold until we hit 30%. Oh, did we? This is we already hit this level, so we can delete this. And we're also going to be approaching an hour since market open. The 30 minute does take a while to play out. Um, you already know how I feel about the 15 minute as well. The 15 minute, looks like we're fighting with these levels right here. But I think at this point the goal is to see if we can stay above these stop losses. Don't give us the run for our money, honey. I'm doing the best I can. I'm keeping an eye on these two. I wanted you to start turning your eye to kind of like pay attention to the peripheral too. So we have buyers stepping in here. On QQQ and SPY is confluence. These two ETFs have been running side by side. When SPY went to the upside, these two followed along. These two tend to twin, whereas this one is standalone, but you can see it's still, giving you the upside that we need. Here, what's going on is we're bullish here, but we're just defending this or not. Trying to just defend if we want to stay above this level. I'm gonna pay extra attention to what happens with this trade because again, I think I want to just turn my eye to identify if we're opening in this green area, but I want to also feel what it means to just wait for a 30-minute entry, what it means to look for the lower time frame. Like, yeah, this is not good. We're selling off this level here. I don't like that. I want to know what it means to. I think we talked about this. Let's look at the 5 minutes. So as long as we can stay above, yeah, this is not looking good on the lower time frame. I would have liked this to continue to build the base. We do have calls here from previous. I don't know if we need to do that. Looking at the corner of my eye, I do like how QQQ and SPY. You don't want to necessarily want to trade off of them, but it's good when there's divergence. But right now we're fighting at this level. I don't like it. I don't like how we're so the thing is going to be staying above the 8. And then I feel like if you can't stay above the 8, I'm just going to get out and not looking at last trade. I think when the next time the 30-minute fires, I need to look at the 5 minute and just um, look for those critical levels. It's okay. It's part of like just getting more precise on my entries, but I don't like this. I would have liked to see us above here. Let's just see what happens in the next couple of minutes. I know I'm not the only one watching. And because I like to get in and out quickly, when it takes longer for it to play out like a 30-minute, like I'll jump out and then a few hours later it's like it's up. What is, yeah, let me show you what I'm looking at here. What is on the positive side though is on the 1 hour, we did open above here, right? And we did open above VWAP. Um, but we have to defend this area right here. And I just have to be careful too. It's in between stop loss and practicing risk management and jumping out too early, but also looking at the bigger picture and letting it play out. So that's kind of where I'm at. Still a little antsy. And again, I would have liked to see us have those candle closes above here. The 5 minute can be our guideline. And just keeping our stop losses small enough that we can come in tomorrow. We don't want to keep trying to re-enter a trade here. Yay, I love how buyers stepped in there. Yeah, you can see that they're fighting with the bears. Bears keep stepping back in here. We're entering into top territory, right? You can see we're kind of just trying to break out. These are all these are all calls from a previous level, but it's the stop losses for calls to the upside from earlier, and we're building off of 300% from a previous call entry here. Let's see what happens in the next 44 seconds. If we continue to stay below here, there we go. Let's go, baby. If we can, yeah, if we open back up below here, we're so gonna get cooked. I'll let you know when I'm breaking in on my contract. But the goal is we're trying to no, come on, we're going the We want to hold above here. I feel like if we break below here, your girl and other people are going to exit. Let's see what happens in the next 17 seconds. We have got to break above here. Um, but I think I'm going to get out for a small loss if we open below. I feel like shares are going to step in. Yeah, let's see what happens. Oh, we got confirmation for calls on SPY. Beautiful. All right, I'll let you guys know when I'm break even. We kind of just opened on the cusp here, right above. So this is good. The temptation can be to try to hold more than you normally would. Um, you do not, and I repeat, you do not want to enter something like IWM based off of like call entries for SPY. I have done that before. It's not a good idea. Here on SPY, it can take a little bit of time to play out. They can retest the stop losses, but I think, let me just show you where we are. Yeah, I bought way up here because I'm still not at break even on IWM. But we are reactivating. We're coming back up. I wanted to see, we had gotten in based off of this um, 30-minute call into. I think we can try to hold until 7:30. Is usually the time frame we want to work with. I don't like how we're selling off here. Oh, but okay, so let me explain what's happening. Let's look at the 5 minutes. You guys have an idea of what, yeah. So if you want to be patient and wait, the goal is going to be for you to wait for confirmation on this lower time frame or even the 3. Beautiful buy off of that 8. If you want to, as long as you stay above the 8 with the 15-minute entry here for calls, and sometimes it can happen so quickly. They defended, oh, we were defending the stop loss. Looks like the bears smashed right through. And this is going to liquidate. You can tell this is a liquidation move right here just because it's like tapping people out. It's, if you had a stop loss here, it took you all out there. Yeah. Because it's like, do you believe in love the love? We're definitely getting the consolidation that, comes with Wednesdays. But I feel like out of everything, if SPY is giving me more, it wants more upside. We're still kind of riding off of the 1 week call entry. I like how we're continuing to defend the stop loss levels here and buying off of VWAP in the 8. The next level is going to be waiting, for price to show that it's holding above the beautiful, above the 4 here. I'm watching SPY more than I'm watching my own trade over here, but I am keeping an eye on it on IWM. Okay, I love how we're defending our levels above here. Um, the key is for us to be to break above here. Let's see, I'm gonna mark this level. And let's just see what's happening on the 3 minute. Okay, so as long as we, now that the next big thing is for us to stay above. Here, retesting, beautiful, love it. I love how buyers stepped right back in there off of the 4. I love how buyers defended that expeditiously. Love that for us. Okay. So we're still in the 30-minute calls here. I love that. Let's look on the 5 minute. So the goal again is for us to, yeah, we're starting to break out to the upside. So I'm just keeping a sense for in the future. I know the 15 minute takes time to play out. Um, and so how much more would the 30 minute take time to play out? Um, and I feel like even when anything above 15 minutes fires off, what does confirmation look like? I don't like how we're selling off here. We keep, having sellers step in here. I don't like that. Let's see what happens on the 5 minute, the next 15 seconds here. Obviously, we want to stay above here. And then it's going to start testing stop losses again because if it opens below here, which it looks like it's going to try to do in the next 5 seconds, people are going to be trying to hold until people say high, and then VWAP, and then we're just going to have like this. It was unable to stay above, and we also have sell off happening. Um, I don't like how we're dropping there. I think I'm gonna jump out. But see how we bought that level back up. We're continuing to stay above the 8. Well, I'm gonna keep my stop loss so freaking tight here, and then just not trade because we're kind of like in this consolidation area here too, and we're dropping over here. Let's see. I don't want to get caught in those. Yeah, I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna get out unapologetically, and I'm done for today. Yeah. Um, I think it's a 3 trades or 2. Yeah, I'm done for today. Um, the 30 minute might play out a little bit later. I'm not the only one that jumped out. So I'm laughing. Um, it's okay. I'm practicing precision with the higher time frame entries. Um, but I also was looking at how these are dropping as well. And I caught out of the corner of my eye that we were coming to the previous day high, and I knew that if we start to break below here, it's not going to look good. So I think it's okay for me to just walk away and be done. We are approaching 1 hour. Um, and it's not that this does not going to play out, but I think that with just Wednesdays in general, we tend to get chopped and screwed around a little bit. And I've talked about this is a great example of like why yes, this is all bullish, but you don't want to get chopped and screwed up in here. And we talked about this too on the 15 minute. So I'm keeping all these things in the back of my mind. We did invalidate the bear zone, but anytime I see that type of overlap, and like I've seen it so many times at this point, we and we have that overlap. Yes, we try to invalidate it, but once you see that overlap, and it happens on Wednesdays, we're gonna kind of get chopped and screwed in between there. So I'll just be willing to walk away and keep your stop losses small. I'm happy with my stop loss. I did 2 trades, 2 red trades at that. So if I'm gonna follow my rules, I shouldn't be taking anything else. We're having some sell off here. Um, Now let me show you what's happening on the 1 hour. This lines up with that 300% take profit level. Um, on the 1 hour, we more than touched the VWAP. I was talking about that, but it looks like uh, mm, they might want to retest previous day high before they continue the upside comfortably. Um, let's look on the 30 minute and see what they decide to do with the 8. Okay, let's just see what they decide to do there. QQQ. Now look at how we bought right back up off of the VWAP here. They're defending that territory. That's good. Because if we fall below there, and here we're going to have more downside, and you do not want to have candle closes below this previous day high. I got out of my contract. I'm glad I did. I think I'm going to, um, I'm going to make a note to myself here. Mhm. I don't really, whatever I write up here has to be the most important thing, but I think that if I were to look back at this again, I would say, um, look for breaks above block. So I might try one more trade when we break above here. And that's something and as I'm having a conversation even with you guys here, um, I want to make sure when we get a 30-minute or even 15-minute, breathe, take that breather, mark the level off. But the most important thing is for us to break above here on the lower time frames like the 3. So you can see here that this is the level that we need to hold above. We also have this, and so we would have wanted those small candles to hold above here. And there's that chop and screw that we're dealing with right here. Ooh, SPY is recovering beautifully here. Let's go back to the 30%. And so if you start to, they filled this gap over and over and over again. We kept having buyers step in here. They're defending that spot. But speaking of blocks, right? I talked about how, okay. Speaking of blocks, right? I talked about how I want to look for the block. This could have been, this is interesting. I'll just change it a little bit here. But how we wanted to buy above the block. So I understand what it means for it here, especially with the higher time frames of 15 and 30. But yeah, this is what I'm telling you guys. Like, as long as you buy above here, that is so interesting. My brain needs to digest this. My brain needs to digest that a little bit. Okay, so this is a good thing. Have buyers stepping up back in. In the next 2 minutes, it's going to be important for us to stay above here. Even on the 15-minute, if you're like an order, you see that we try to break to the upside. This would be considered a retest. And then from the 15 minutes going to the wick, um, staying in that block, that order block. Yesterday I forgot to I took my vitamins. I forgot to take my smoothie and my drink. I put it in the fridge. Just forming new healthy habits. Now let me show you what I'm looking at here. This is beautiful. If you're nothing has fired on QQQ yet, but this is really good. This is really good. Um, they're building a strong base for the upside. Both candles opened above VWAP here and above previous day high. Beautiful bounce off of this 8, but if they lose this level, you're going to get chopped in a bull cage, I suppose, where, if you start to invalidate here, you also have, they might test these stop loss levels here. This is not good as we're approaching the first 15 minutes here. We are buying back up to zone here, but we're going to be opening and kind of like invalidating our calls to the upside on SPY. Um, and this is just the name of the game, right? So if we ran our bag up on Monday and Tuesday, anticipating the nature of how things are on Wednesday, even with data, there's just that consolidation. And as long as you understand the nature of what it does on Wednesdays, um, you can protect yourself. And my goal, I think, even with the 30, is next time, and even, well, the 15 too. I want to see us open next time above these levels and be willing to wait. I know that it takes time for it to play out. And so I just jumped in, but that's a no no. Like, you don't just jump in. I'm going to title this, and I'm going to, because this is kind of like insider language. So, and I will have to explain it every time, but when I have to explain it to you guys, it's going to help both of us. So it's not that you don't enter on it. And you guys will have your own. Ooh, this is important. We opened below VWAP. We invalidated the stop loss here. And we opened below previous day high. So yeah, they do start to see the sell off. Those bears were way in. And so even on the 1 hour, we're gonna go back and look and see what they decide to do with those stop losses. We are still in, we're still bullish. It's just that they're looking for. Oh, I see where you're going. No, 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 no. Okay, I accidentally. Let's put this back on. I'm gonna show you what I'm. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Side. Okay, so this is SPY. They're looking for buy-in levels, is what it is. This is that much needed pullback that we needed for SPY. We've been roaring since Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So it looks like we're gonna try to test the previous day high here. Uh, but here's what I saw on IWM. We have a gap down there. I'm looking on the 30 minute. I've seen it. Oh, is it this one? It looks a little different on the big screen. See, I'm telling you guys, as we're approaching the 1 hour, did we already cross over? Yeah, we just crossed over the 1 hour mark on since the market has opened. And do not chase anything, guys. This is what Wednesdays do. If you understand the nature of the beast and what you're dealing with, it's gonna save you a lot of like heartache and headache. Okay. Um, this overlapping, no bueno. It just reactivated puts again. Just being in here is gonna give you chop and screw. But when these two overlap, forget about it. Let's look and see on the 15-minute what's happening here for some context. Um, didn't quite give you 80%. Um, might test some stop losses here, but for the most part, so bullish. If you want to look out to how other people are looking at it, though, once we get that break below previous day high, I feel like it makes sense. We might pick up orders here. And then we're going to retest previous day high and decide if we want more downside, or we're going to decide if we're going to come back up here above previous day high. But it's doing what it needs to do, and we just have to be responsible. Like I said, I'm comfortable with my stop loss. I think even against the week, I'm still up. Um, paid a little bit of a price for. Let me take off this 1 hour. A little bit of a price for bad execution on the 30 minute, but I'm putting in safeguards for how to help myself. Um, because remember, like, just not having an indicator, not that you want to be dependent on it, right? But if you've been conditioned to like alert goes off, jump in, it's like no, it's an alert in the sense of like it's trying to tell you like, hey, look at this. But um, I have to recondition myself to if it's a 3 minute or 5 minute and it's influence, I can jump in quicker. Whereas with the higher time frames, I have to wait for lower time frames influence. So it just is what it is. No, no harm, no foul. we are definitely in Wednesday consolidate. Today is consolidating. There's no, you know, but we were prepared for it, and I think we took the best trades that we could. Um, and so we're really going to protect yourself after this 1 hour. We're not going to chase, okay? And let's see what's happening now. This is a beautiful, I think it's like an M for the week where we, Monday, Tuesday up, Wednesday we have to retest some levels. Let me show you how it looks on the 1 hour here. I am not mad at it. We are bullish, but we're retesting. Oh, you know what it is? Did we hit 50%? Not quite. Um, we're retesting that 1 hour level. If you were in in calls, you have gotten in here, and then we defended the stop loss here. They're definitely going to test the second level of stop losses, but again, we have this VWAP gap, or if we open below here, we're going to try to fill this gap right here. We're going to try to fill this VWAP gap. Because people on yesterday at market close, the volume is down here. They want to get in on the calls too. And now we got to come pick these people up. We got to come pick them up. That's exactly what's happening, especially when you start to get these smaller candle closes below here. Yeah, we're going to try to close this gap. I'm not going to jump into anything, but I think what's going to be interesting is if we have something fire for puts to the downside. Um, just tell you, this is a stop loss for buyers might step up in here too, but this is a major bounce level. We do have prep to the downside. It's going to be very much like base hit type of day. Yeah. See what this looks like on the 1 hour. We're testing stop losses here. And on the 1 hour, this is not good. I really wanted us to see us open above VWAP and possibly touch VWAP here, but we are tanking. I'm looking at I think this is what I saw. Is today the day we're going to fill that gap, y'all? Look at this. Just be careful here, especially with QQQ, but we have a gap down here. All the way down. But if we continue to have candle closes below this previous day high, we've got a gap down there. Let's just be patient. I would say this one you have more of a run to the downside. Um, Whereas with SPY, you're going to be entering a cage of bulls here and previous day highs, so just be careful. You got buyers stepping back in here. See what happens with this level here on IWM. Also be careful. This is a buy level. Like this is a rubbery zone here on QQQ. Let's look at the 1 hour. Same thing here with SPY. This is a bounce level. This this 8. So you will be kind of lucky if you hit previous day high. But this is like a rubber band here. You guys don't want to get caught up in it's easy and yeah, just talking to my older self, like it's easy to want to be like, okay, well we're reversing, let's just because sometimes there's so much gaslighting in our community, but it's like, oh, well if it's going in one direction, don't hold on too long. Like if you're in calls, and that used to get me. It's like, okay, I was wrong, I accepted. Let me jump at the puts, and then I jump at the puts, and then now it starts to bounce to the upside, and then I chase that. So like especially on Wednesdays, we just wait. We do not get back our profit for Monday or Tuesday. We know this is what it does on Wednesdays. Okay, we're testing the stop losses here. Put entry, 5 minute put entry. You know, you can test it on IWM. You can test it. I'm going to, the volume, you know, I'm not going to touch it. And I could be wrong. But the open interest on puts, there's only one contract, the 302, that has 1,000 in there. And then the contracts above and below are not that good. There's a lot of volume at the 300 puts, but the delta is a little bit lower. Um, let's just see how it plays out. Okay, it's paying off. Okay, so you'll definitely want to take profit because not only are you approaching a 200 level, when you hit those, okay, there we go. Oh, they're going for VWAP gap fill. All right, I might be doing a little bit of a late entry here. See if it pulls back just a little bit. Let's see if it, I'll be willing to jump in if it pulls up just a tiny bit, but they're going to go for VWAP gap. Let me show you. Oh, snap, it's not even going to give it to you. I think I'm going to sit it out. I'm going to sit it out. I'm tempted. Oh, hold on. Don't overthink it. Um, Let me show you what I was looking at here. There's that nice, okay, so they stepped in here. But if we invalidate this right here, ooh, gosh. Okay, if we invalidate this right here, then we can try to hold a little bit for a little bit more downside. We have buyers stepping in ever so slightly. Okay, okay. Good, good, good. We're looking for push. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now I'm gonna try some push. And oops, got filled on the order. The thing is now I'm gonna look for us to get down here. I'm gonna look for us to come down here to this gap. I'm in the third trade. Kind of breaking my rules. Um, 5 minutes. And so, ooh, so third trade. It is an E trade. All right, I'm gonna get the heck out of Dodge. Oh, oh Lord, I got a terrible fail, but it's okay. Um, Terrible fail, but it's okay. Yeah, that's the thing. It's okay. Um, on my contract. But I put it to market order, so it's just like I wasn't really willing to hold for the limit order fill. Um, and anytime we hit 50%, there's always like a pullback. Um, I expect a pullback here at this level as well. You guys, do I jump back in? I'm watching out of the corner of my eye. This is approaching stop loss level. See how we're bouncing off of that? And it's, I hope you're like training your eyes. So we're bounce. I know we're at a critical bounce level, especially on these two. 15 minute. Ooh, ooh. This can take a little bit of time to play out. So let's just try to be patient here, you guys. And again, it's going to be the same thing. So perfect. You see how I'm playing this out? Let's wait for some confirmation for with some candle closes below here. Beautiful. I'm so proud of myself. Look at how quickly we learn. So we opened in that shaded area. We know that it takes a little bit of time for it to play out. So let's just be patient and wait. We want to wait for some candle closes below here. Okay. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so we have some bears here, but on the 15 minute, this is what it looks like to wait. Okay. 15 minute does take a little bit of time to play out. It needs to establish what it's going to do. So we want to wait until price comes below here and starts to have candle closes below here. I know it's tempting to want to jump in. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so here we're starting to see that bounce off of the man. I had to like learn these lessons. We're starting to bounce off of this 1 hour. Hold on, you guys can see this. This 1 hour 8 EMA didn't even quite give you guys people say hi. But when you talk about rubber band, it's like when it snaps back, it's snapping off with the force and momentum of the 1 hour time frame. So you see that there. Here on the 1 hour, you can see that they're doing the same thing that we did here with IWM earlier, where they're testing stop loss and buyers are stepping back in. Yes, with the low people say hi. This is very much giving, we gonna consolidate your life. Okay, just continue to be patient here. Because at this point, didn't IWM give us, it sure did. It gave us calls to the upside, and then now it's giving us puts to the downside on the 5 and the 15 minute. That's not nice. So here on the 5 minute, you can see where we did open below. There we go. We did open below that block, so we're buying this level right back up. And 50%, there's always, it doesn't matter what time frame there is, always a little bit of pullback. Sometimes you'll go right through it, but for the most part, this is the critical take profit level. You have teaser bottoms here on the 5. They kind of decided they want to pick up some bear shares that are not only on the 15 minute, but on the 5 minute. And so here, I love this because I put 1 hour call entry. And so it's like if we cross back over here, we're going to activate calls on the 1 hour time frame, and we can have more upside if we start to get candles above this call entry level. This is rubber banding, and we're picking up calls here. So just introducing that top. It's just, we don't have, like before we've had clear indication of the direction that we want to move in. We are also 1 hour out from market open. So an hour and 15 minutes. I like how we're kind of starting to fall below here and get a 5 minute confirmation that we want more downside. Or no. Oh, it's okay. Shoot. Um, Testing the stop losses on the 5 minute. If you guys are going to diamond hands with some puts here. And, but the problem is you have calls here as well, you know, where people want to buy in off of that level. Happy birthday to you. Don't All right, then. So let's see what's happening here. We are re-breaking out. Let's see what this means on the 15 minute. Because remember, we had puts to the downside on the on the 5 minute, and so now we. Let me show you real quick what I'm looking at here. We are rejecting as we should the 4 and the 8, so that's good. Okay, and we're testing the stop losses on the 15 minute here. But again, I'm not going to be looking for puts until we get down here. This is a VWAP gap that needs to be filled. So, okay. See if we can break that in the next 15 seconds. Maybe we can look for, let's look on the 3 minute. We talked about this, right? So we want to see, this makes more sense, right? You can keep buying up that level. Oh, you know what that level is? Remember, this was the 1 hour. This is a stop loss. They're defending that. That's what they're defending. Okay, so they're defending that stop loss. Okay, are we gonna get in now? Let's get in. Let's see if it feels. Um, woo, children. What did I get in on? Okay. Number 4. I'm putting in that I got in a VWAP gap. Next to type stop loss. 50% of that is going to be right here. Mm-hmm. And I do have to give it room to breathe. Part of the problem is that I'm so many trades in. I'm also watching these. So these are at a bounce level, and I'm gonna try to get out on the next push down because this is at a stop loss level where buyers are gonna step in, and this is gonna mirror that. Oh yeah, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Hell yeah. Ooh, okay. All right. Let's see what that means on the. There we go. There we go. You hit 100% on the 5 minutes, you guys. Take profit if you haven't. Do not be greedy. Please don't. Take profit, and then if you're scaling, and then here we're starting to push that we want to open below both of these 200 levels. Um, and so we're also taking profit off of this 30% level, but if we can continue to close below this level right here, then we have more downside. But we're gonna see if we can close that VWAP gap. Um, Yo, that's what's up. I'm done trading for today. All right. So here I did 4 trades, a small lot overall. I'm gonna put that we had consolidation. I'm done trading for today. But let's see. Top of the hour. Um, let's see. Top of the hour. What I expect is we're gonna open below previous day high. Probably invalidate these stop loss levels. Want to retest previous day high and see if we can build for some upside. But ooh, now that being said, the same way we're trying to fill this VWAP gap here. QQQ is going to want to fill this gap here And it's gonna encounter some resistance here where you might have want to have buyers step back in here and here. Let's look at IW or SPY. Mind you, we already did, yeah, we hit 300% from post market, so they're not going to be afraid to have more downside here. Absolutely, you know, and this is the much needed pullback that we needed. I feel like I said, Wednesday, the open interest for Wednesday, let me know that we're going to have a little bit of like recalibration, and so we got to close this gap right here, and then also look for more buying levels. So, yo, that's what's up. Let me show you on the 1 hour. The girl is hungry. Let me see what's happening here. Yeah, so we're just testing the stop losses here. We went over the 50% of this. I've never done that before, but because I think normally before I probably what I could do is put a box from here to here. My levels are crazy though, in a good way, because I put it from here to here, and you can see we're at that consequent equipment, that 50%, or they're trying to decide we want more upside. And like I said, they have to deal with the gap. Um, I'm gonna get ready to hop off of here, but you can see that same thing that happened over here in IWM. They're defending the calls here on QQQ, and they're trying to turn this into support. Let's see. And I want to remind you again, the 1 hour, the 1 hour 8 EMA is like it's like a rubber band. So this is where you get introduced to the top, and you'd have to wait until the 8 o'clock and the candle in the next 3 minutes for the candle to open below here, test VWAP again, and then more downside, and so you just have to be patient. But it's very much a rubber band effect. Now that being said, we continue to stay on SPY above previous day high. So and what's going to be important is if we stay above the 8 EMA, this we can consider this the pullback that we need, and then continue for more upside. But if we fail below here, that's okay as well. They'll probably go for that VWAP gap to here. Oh, I'm so hungry. Yep. So now, what is so cool is that oh my arm. Um, super proud of myself for the implementation that we did on the 15-minute here. Let me just show you when that thing fired, and we checked to make sure that we were still in the zone here, and we waited for entry below here. Okay, so I like how I handled that. Felt like it protected me from some stuff. Now we every time my house alarm goes off, I know that we're like 30 seconds out. Um, let's look at this on the 5 minute, because we have the 5 minute and the 15 minute for downside. So let's just okay. On the 5 minute, we're still in that choppy area. Um, I think the key would be for you to break below here, for you to entertain more puts, continue to hold for puts. Let's see what happens in the next 2 seconds. Where did we open? Ooh, 30 minutes. Don't take it. Do not take it. Now, I don't care. It might, you know. Okay, let's look at this number. So we opened in here, remember? So you'd want to wait for price to come down here. You do have the 5 and the 15 minute on your side, but if you want to take your lesson, let me rename this. If you want to take your lesson from just a couple of minutes ago, to be our inside community type joke, where I remember to look for us to be reminding myself that we're in where we are in the block, give it time to play out, and look for puts below here, y'all. But and the thing is, now we're levels within levels, right? So we did on the 15-minute open below here. So if you were just going off of that, you probably could have entered understanding, just practicing risk management, and then using this as it, but for the most part, we could have taken a calculated risk to decided to just jump into puts here because we did open below this level, which I do have it marked there, and also on the 5-minute, 5-minute, just, you want to, we're trying to close this gap, so those are like confluence, but this is also a strong level, especially on the 5. But as long as we continue to stay below the 8 EMA on the 5-minute, then we'll continue to have more downside. So yeah, IWM SPY opened above previous day high, so I know for me, but opened below 8. So just kind of like letting you guys know it's going to be choppy. You don't have to get caught up in that. All three of the, or only QQQ is the only one that didn't fire anything, but SPY and IWM, especially IWM, gave you calls to the upside, puts to the downside, 2 puts to the downside. So y'all, we'll just come back tomorrow and let it do what it needs to do. It's about to invalidate the 5-minute tick zone here, but again, this is where you get caught and chopped and screwed, and I had to learn this the hard way. Let me take my glasses off. But that's the thing with Wednesday, and then you're like, but it's firing, and yes, and these things do work, but Wednesdays tend to be consolidation. This is very healthy behavior, and we don't have to buy into it, right? That it does work. It's just we were due for a pullback, and this is what happens on Wednesdays. So be willing to walk away on Wednesdays, protect your capital. Whenever you start to see stuff like this, you just know you're going to get chopped and screwed. Opening above previous day high but below the 8 and the 4 and VWAP, and we had just opened above here. So don't even sweat it. You're not wrong. You're not on the wrong track. It's not that you don't know how to trade. And even this is how you get caught up on Wednesdays. And I had to learn this. Yes, the indicator works, and then you kind of like second guess yourself, like, well, does that invalidate all this other stuff? No, it's just the MO, and that's why when I open up, and I'm gonna hop off here. When I open up, as I'm writing the date, I'm priming myself for what the conditions mean for that day. So I knew that we would have chop, and there's that propensity to want to chase stuff and different things playing out and stuff, and wanting to be like, okay, it flies to the upside. I know it works, so I'm gonna jump in. Oh, it went to the downside. I know it works, and jump in. But the layers are stacked up, and you're starting to overcompensate for stuff. So, yeah. Be cautious out there, you guys. Be patient. We just had a beautiful open below here and below previous day high. If you want to wait until price comes back down below here, and even these levels here before you start to entertain push to the downside, it's failing to activate calls to the upside here. Here, I feel like they're going to continue to try to defend call entries, but have the same thing that happened with IWM, where they have to fill up this gap. There's a lot of volume of callers that didn't get to fill their orders and are waiting for a retest here. SPY is a little bit trickier in that we continue to hold above previous day high. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get some late meat. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna try to remember to turn you guys off when I go, but I want you guys to be able to, you're still here trading, enjoy that. But I will turn it off in 2 hours or in about 15 minutes. Okay.